Checklist time. I got my sunglasses, check. Got my notes, check. Got my hat, check. Got my thick skin, check. Let's go. Golden Blue Dude back with another video just for the college football fan. So hit that like and subscribe button if you are a college football fan. And go check out our Patreon page when you get a chance. A lot of perks over there. And don't forget our score prediction contest will start back up again in September. Every week we award $20 to whoever gets the closest to the exact score prediction of the game that I pick. The higher the Patreon, the more guesses you get. And you can win as many times as you want. Also, $5 and up Patreons get to pick the live stream that we're going to do. And you get to watch the game with me. And we have a great website designed and created by Joey Foster. So earlier this week, I made a video about Notre Dame joining the ACC. I've already predicted Notre Dame to go to the ACC about 10 months ago. I said Notre Dame and West Virginia are going to go to the ACC. And I've made several videos about it. You already know about it. Then I kind of cooled down on the topic because there was nothing new to report. Then the rumors started heating up again this week that Notre Dame and the ACC are actually talking. They're wanting to put Notre Dame in the ACC full-time, and Notre Dame wants to go to the ACC full-time by 2025. That's when their NBC contract is up, so they'll renegotiate that, and it will give the ACC some negotiating power to redo this terrible, horrible TV deal they got going on. So I got to thinking, what's the pros and the cons for this in general, for college football, for Notre Dame, for the ACC? What's good about this? And what's bad about this? Well, what's good about this is it helps a lot of things, really. We already know that the ACC vetoed playoff expansion. They wanted to look into player safety and all this other stuff. But honestly, I think there was an ulterior motive to that. And I think that ulterior motive was to grab Notre Dame. Because remember, the Notre Dame athletic director, he was for playoff expansion. The SEC, the Notre Dame athletic director, and the Big 12, they were all for playoff expansion, which was funny because the ACC was against. So you have a conference in the ACC that's against, and then an affiliate member with Notre Dame, not a full-time football member, but an affiliate member with Notre Dame saying, we do want conference expansion. So there was a difference of opinion there. That leads me to believe that there was some ulterior motives, because that doesn't make sense. The excuses that the ACC was giving didn't make any sense. It just didn't. Playoff expansion is what's best for college football right now. Let's be honest. So Notre Dame going to the ACC. I think that was the motive that the ACC had, as far as saying, no, we don't want playoffs. Or playoff expansion, I should say. Because here's the deal. With this new playoff expansion, they want to go to 12 teams and then give the first 4 seeds a bye. Conference champions get an automatic bid, and they qualify for one of those 4 bye weeks. If Notre Dame goes undefeated and gets to the playoffs as is, they have no shot of getting the bye, or an automatic bid for that matter. I mean, they're going to get in for sure, but they're not going to get an automatic bid, and they're definitely not going to get a bye. They would have to be part of a conference, win the conference championship, to have any shot of getting a bye. So I think this actually helps Notre Dame as well, because we all know playoff expansion is coming. So with the ACC actually grabbing Notre Dame, I think the next go around with the voting, the ACC will vote yes to playoff expansion, because they got what they want. They got Notre Dame joining, and that was the real reason why they voted against playoff expansion. They wanted to entice Notre Dame because they knew Notre Dame would not be able to get a bye as an independent. So if they hold out for conference expansion, get Notre Dame, and then vote for conference expansion, that's a win-win. Notre Dame can win the ACC, get the automatic bid, get a bye week, and of course the ACC, they get Notre Dame as well. This also helps West Virginia joining the ACC, because one of the biggest things that I heard when all this started was, in order for West Virginia to get into the ACC has to grab Notre Dame. That is contingent. Now, y'all know my opinion. I didn't think that was necessarily the case. I didn't think that they had to get Notre Dame and then West Virginia would tag along. But from what I was hearing, that's what people were saying. So this also helps West Virginia, because the ACC, by grabbing Notre Dame and West Virginia, they get to have some leverage to renegotiate that TV deal. And the big reason why West Virginia went to the Big 12 was because of money. Because let's face it, the travel for West Virginia in Big 12 play is absolutely brutal. Not just football, that's bad enough, but think of all the other sports, basketball, baseball, the Olympic sports. That is a ton of travel. So the only reason they joined the Big 12 was because of money, more money. Well, if the ACC can renegotiate and make more money than the Big 12's new TV deal, then West Virginia is going to join the ACC because it would help in two ways: more money, less travel. That's a win-win for West Virginia. So Notre Dame joining the ACC full-time as a football member helps West Virginia as well. And it helps college football as a whole because we absolutely do need playoff expansion. Look, a lot of people are against playoff expansion. That would provide us with more blowouts. Agree to disagree. We already have a ton of blowouts in the playoffs. Even in the national championship. When was the last time we had a close national championship? Well, I guess you could say last year because it was a close game until the pick six. But if you watched the entire game, Georgia had that game locked down. And if you looked at the several national championships before that, they've been mostly blowouts. So the blowout excuse is getting old, it's getting ridiculous, and it's starting to not make sense. Of course, you're going to have those teams that are far and away, head and shoulders above everybody else. And then when they get matched up with anybody, they blow them out. It's either a Clemson that's blowing everybody out, or an Alabama that's blowing everybody out, or last year, a Georgia that's blowing everybody out. There's that one team that is head and shoulders above everybody else, and they're just blowing everybody out. That's just how it is. What this does do is it gives us more great matchups. That way it'll give us a reason to watch the playoffs more instead of more blowouts. You're going to have great matchups before those awful blowouts. And college football needs home playoffs. Have you ever watched the NHL playoffs, or the Major League Baseball playoffs, or the NFL playoffs, or the NBA playoffs? They're all great. The home atmosphere is amazing. I don't watch the regular season out of any of those professional sports. But whenever it comes playoffs, I try to catch a few games, including NHL. I am not a hockey guy, but when the NHL playoffs roll around, I try to catch some games because those atmospheres are electric. Well, with college football, the regular season itself is already electric. Could you imagine a home playoff game for, like, I don't know, an Ohio State, a Utah, an Oregon? That would be absolutely amazing. College football needs home playoff games. That would be a ratings boost. I mean, through the roof ratings boost. So that's a great thing for college football right now. And Notre Dame going to ACC helps that because that was the ACC's ulterior motives. Now, having said all that, are there any cons? Are there any cons to Notre Dame joining the ACC? Really, there's just one? I don't see any cons for college football itself. I think Notre Dame joining a conference is good for college football. Of course, I definitely don't see any cons for Notre Dame joining the ACC. That's going to help the ACC tremendously. The ACC actually needs that in order to survive because if they don't pick up a major brand and renegotiate that TV deal, the ACC will get picked apart. So the only con that there could be would be for Notre Dame. What would be the con? The only con that I could even think of is that Notre Dame wouldn't be a national brand. Wait a minute. Yes, they would still be a national brand. That's one of the biggest arguments that Notre Dame fans put out there as far as joining the conference. If Notre Dame joins a conference, we become a regional brand instead of a national brand. Well, the thing is, you're not going to drop USC. You're still going to go to Southern Cal and play USC, and USC is still going to come to South Bend and play Notre Dame. You will not be dropping that rivalry. Notre Dame will still be a national brand. I mean, it doesn't matter what conference Notre Dame joins. They're still a national brand. It doesn't make your brand regional. It just means you've made a commitment to a conference and you're giving yourself a chance to get that bye week in the playoffs. This is a smart move by the ACC and a smart move by Notre Dame. Notre Dame, trust me, if you're watching, and I know you are, this is a good move for you. You need this. The ACC needs this. College football needs this. This is the spark that the ACC and Notre Dame needs to get everybody talking and buzzing about them again. And I'm talking about it. Other people are talking about it. So it's working. You're creating buzz. So that tells me this is a good thing for every party involved. It's good for West Virginia, it's good for Notre Dame, it's good for the ACC, and it's good for college football. I only see one con, and it's something that really doesn't exist. It's a myth. Notre Dame's national brand will turn into a regional brand. That is false. Notre Dame always has been and always will be a national brand. And you know that. Stop making that outdated excuse. That's simply not an excuse anymore. Y'all let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you think that Notre Dame joining the ACC helps college football? Or do you think it hurts college football in any way? Am I overlooking anything? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next show.